spending 2 minutes on additional initiatives that are related with the product. The first is the Uppercept AWS SDK for Delphi. We have been continuing updating it even after the initial release and even after 11.1. It generally gets a release every couple of months. It's becoming a full-blown and complete SDK for managing all of the Amazon Web Service APIs. A new version is actually expected later this month, and more will come later this year. If you haven't been following it, it's actually very relevant, and it's a very nice and powerful library, which is limited to, it's available only to enterprise customers. Now, the other initiative is what Kyle hinted at, and around Python. And I just want to underline the fact that there are two primary goals, although there are many sub-goals, and it's a very complex ecosystem. But the two primary goals, on my point of view, is first, provide Python developers, and there are many out there, with a nice way to learn about the fact Delphi exists and has great UI libraries, and also great capabilities that they can use to enhance their Python applications, and maybe they will decide to use Delphi over and over more for part of their development. And the other angle, which is equally important, is for Delphi developers to allow them to use Python libraries without even having to learn Python and the ecosystem, but be able to use some of the most powerful Python libraries for artificial intelligence and big data management out of the box, just staying within Delphi. But Jim can explain a bit more some of the details here. But you're muted.
I'm muted again. Thank you, Marco. This is an overview of the ecosystem we have. Essentially, it's split into two parts. We have the, for Python developers up at the top, which is where we have the PyScripter IDE, which was developed by Kyriakos, the same guy that from Python for Delphi. And we've added in the Delphi FMX and Delphi VCL libraries for Python developers, as well as the app builder that lets you build Python applications for Android, which is really quite impressive. We just recently added debugging support to that as well. And we have the exporter.
We're still sharing the older slide.
Oh.
Okay,
thank you.
Now it's visible.
Got it, okay, sorry. Yeah, so at the top here is the for Python developers. And the exporter here that gives you the ability to design your UI in Delphi, take advantage of all the great Delphi GUI design and export it right into Python. And then down here, this is the part that probably most of you are really interested in, is the Python environment wrappers. And this is really cool, and it actually has been expanded quite a bit since we first released it, so that you can just take popular Python libraries, and we've got about a dozen of them imported now and working on an automatic import system, and it turns them into a component. You drop it on your form, you can automatically have it encapsulate all the Python stuff, so you don't have to think about Python at all, right? All you have to do is say component, and then write Delphi code, or eventually C++ code, and use these libraries, PyTorch, TensorFlow, NumPy, etc. So it is really quite amazing. There's a huge ecosystem of components out there for Python developers, and yeah. So here's a list. I'm not going to go through all these. I mentioned them in detail on the previous slide, but yeah, you can find more of these up on GitHub. If you go to GitHub, look for the P4D Data Sciences, might be a good place to go check it out, and you can find some of those libraries we have up there for that.